Are you ready to get locked in this winter and transform your life in 2026? Well, in this video, I'm going to break down a simple yet effective guide that's going to help you to do just that, so you can become the best version of yourself. Not only that, I will provide you with some motivation and the knowledge and tools you need in order to become unrecognizable in 2026 and start on your winter arc. I will share exactly what I did myself to go from being overweight to being jacked with six-pack abs. You're really not going to want to miss any of the stuff that I discuss in this video because it's straight gold and will save you so much time and effort. Speaking of time, let's not waste any more of yours. Let's get straight into it. All right, guys, so the first thing that I want you to focus on is your nutrition. Nutrition is going to be basically the foundation of everything that we're going to discuss. And I know currently, Thanksgiving is coming up. It's right around the corner and Christmas is coming up. And, a lot of people tend to indulge in a lot more food than normal during those times. But what separates the winners and losers that are going to be able to become completely transformed in 2026 is the people that stay disciplined and consistent. So make sure you follow every step that I discuss in this video and you'll be one of those winners. So what I want you to do is I want you to go on tdeecalculator.net. Okay, TDEE stands for Total Daily Energy Expenditure. And it's basically the amount of calories that your body needs in order to maintain its weight, where it's at currently. So once you go on this website, it's going to ask for your age, it's going to ask for your height, it's going to ask for your activity level and your weight. And once you have all that inputted in, it'll give you a rough estimate of what those calories are that you need in order to maintain your weight. Now, once you know this, what you want to do is you want to subtract either 200 or 500 calories from that, depending on how quickly you want to lose weight. And I want you to write that down somewhere or note it somewhere where you can refer back to it. Now, the second step that I want you to do is I want you to download a calorie tracking app, such as Fat Secret, for example. That's the one that I personally use, and it's completely free. And what makes it nice is all you have to do is just scan the barcode of the different foods that you're eating, and it'll automatically input the calories in for you. And also make sure that you buy a food scale. You can find food scales on Amazon. They're pretty cheap. And what that'll do is that's going to allow you to be able to measure out exactly how much you're eating of stuff. And when you go in the app, you can change the amount of grams of food that you're eating basically into there. And another nice thing about Fat Secret is it also has an area where it'll let you track your macros as well. And the macro that I want you to focus on the most is protein. With protein, I want you to hit 0.7 to 1 gram per pound of body weight. What that's going to ensure is that you hold on to your muscle while you're cutting down, because protein is very important for muscle building and muscle retention in the body. Another nice thing about protein is it actually keeps you full for longer. For me, I do kind of an unconventional diet. I know not everyone has a stomach for this, but I'll eat a pound of some sort of ground meat in one sitting. And what that does is it helps keep me full for a longer period of time, and it makes me less likely to eat junk food or binge eat. But like I said, this isn't for everyone. This is something that I do personally. I'll make a little protein bowl with only a cup of rice and then like a pound of some sort of ground meat. And that seems to work for me. But like I said, you can speak to a nutritionist or your doctor before you do that, but it has definitely worked for me personally. A lot of times I also will skip breakfast. I'll give myself a smaller window to eat. That's also going to help reduce the chances that you're going to go off track with your diet. All right, so the third thing that I want you to focus on is cardio. So with cardio, I don't want you to go overboard, okay? It's really easy to overdo cardio. So I want you to do simple walks, okay? Maybe a jog if you want, but ideally just a walk. Try to walk at least 5,000 to 10,000 steps. I'd say start with 5,000 and then work your way up to 10,000. But what this is going to do is this is going to help increase your metabolism. And what walking does is it kind of puts you in this sweet spot where you're prioritizing burning fat over losing muscle. Because what happens is if you start doing full-on sprints, what that does is it signals to your body a really high stress response. And what that'll do is that'll make it to where your body will try to hold on to fat and actually burn muscle because it thinks that it's in this fight or flight response mode. So what I want you to do is instead just do slow walks rather than full-on sprints. And also you'll find if you just do walks, it actually makes you less hungry compared to if you were doing a sprint. Like after a sprint, I feel super hungry, I feel fatigued, and I think this is something that a lot of people mess up on. They think, oh, well, I can go for a run. You know, a run will actually save me time and it'll make it to where I burn a bunch of calories. But in reality, what ends up happening is you overdo it and then you end up coming home and binge eating. So avoid that. Just try to keep it simple. Just walk 5,000 to 10,000 steps a day. Another nice thing about cardio is it can be tweaked depending on what you have going on. So for example, we were talking about how Thanksgiving is just around the corner. A lot of times people tend to have their Thanksgiving feast. They eat a lot during that time period. So when you know that that's coming up, just bump up your cardio a little bit. Walk a few more steps every single day. And that way, when you do finally decide to indulge and enjoy the holidays, you'll still be on track to hit your fitness goals. Cardio is basically just a way to give yourself some more wiggle room, so to speak, with your diet. And besides, when you're dieting down, if you start running, you're going to be so fatigued, you're not going to have energy in order to weight train. So speaking of weight training, that's what we're going to discuss next. But before we do, if you found value so far in this video, then please like, please comment, please subscribe. It really does mean a lot to me. And comment down below, what's your biggest struggle with losing weight and building muscle? I try to respond to every comment, and maybe I can give you guys some of my own insights to help you. All right, so now without wasting any more time, let's get into our next step, which is going to focus on weight training. All right, so when it comes to weight training, I want you to keep this as simple as well. So when you're going to be in a calorie deficit, you're going to want to save as much energy as possible. Another area that a lot of people mess up on is that they end up doing splits, or they start doing workout programs that require them to be in the gym constantly, where they have to be in the gym 4 to 5 times a day. And what that's going to do is, especially if you're a beginner, is going to burn you out super quickly. Instead, I want you to do full body workouts 3 times a week. It makes it a lot more simple and it makes it a lot more easier for you to stay consistent with. I personally do that myself, and it's way easier for me as a nurse to be able to work in my workout sessions in between my 3 12-hour shifts that I work a week. And then, on the days in between those rest periods, you can do those walks that I was talking about, about 5,000 to 10,000 steps a day to keep you on track with your goals. Now, when it comes to specific exercises, I do have a workout plan that I'm working on sharing with you guys in the next couple of weeks. But if you're a beginner, what I want you to focus on is the big compound movements. What are the big compound movements? So this can be squats, this can be overhead press, this can be bench press. Those are all some examples of some big compound lifts. And the reason why I say to do compound lifts is that they give you the biggest bang for your buck. They work the most amount of muscles in one movement. So for example, with squats, that works your entire lower body, okay? Now, when you do a bench press, that kind of works your entire upper body and your arms. It works your triceps to a certain degree. And, an overhead press, that kind of works your shoulders and your chest. And so those are movements that are really going to give you the most bang for your buck. The reason why I didn't include deadlifts in there is because deadlifts can be very fatiguing, and there's also a very high risk of injury with deadlifts as well. So what I usually recommend to people that are beginners is to instead do something like Romanian deadlifts, for example. The nice thing about Romanian deadlifts are you can go lighter with them and instead focus on being slow during the eccentric phase. And what that's going to do is that's going to help build more muscle. There's been a lot of research showing that you actually build more muscle when your muscles are in a stretch position. So be really slow and controlled with it when you're bringing the bar down. That's going to help reduce the chances of injury. It's going to reduce the amount of fatigue that you're going to accumulate throughout the week. And try to do 3 sets of 8 to 12 reps for these exercises, and give yourself, 2 to 3 minutes to kind of recover in between sets so you can be fully ready to push yourself to the limits with each set. And obviously, you want to make sure that you apply the principles of progressive overload and increase the weight every week. Either increase the weight or increase the reps. Do something that makes that exercise more difficult week to week. If you do this, especially if you're a beginner, and stay consistent with it, you're gonna see a big change in your physique by the end of this winter arc. All right, so let's get into the next step, which is also very, very important, and that is recovery. I want you to make sure that you're getting at least 8 hours of sleep minimum. And I know sometimes this can be difficult for you guys. I know some of you guys have said in the comments, 8 hours, that's a lot. I understand that, everyone's busy, people have families, they have other responsibilities outside of the gym. And the reason why I say this is because sleep is actually where muscle is actually built. We like to think that it's in the gym, but in reality, in the gym, you're actually just breaking down muscle and sending muscle building signals, but it's actually sleep where your muscles are actually repaired and grow. And the reason for this is because during deep sleep, your body secretes growth hormone, which helps actually build up more muscle. So you need to get deep sleep in order to actually build muscle. And the way you do that is by trying to get at least a minimum of 8 hours of sleep. You can get away with less, but you're not gonna reach your ideal potential if you don't get those 8 hours. So while we're on the subject of recovery and sleep, I know there's a lot of guys here that watch me that are kind of older, they're in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. This tip will be very important for you guys to follow. Start incorporating the sauna into your routine. Try to do the sauna at least 2 to 3 times a week, and I usually do it for 20 minutes a session. What this is going to do is this is going to help increase recovery. It's going to reduce your stress levels. It's going to help reduce the chances of you getting injured. It's also been shown to decrease all-cause mortality, which is insane. There's been a lot of research showing how beneficial saunas are, and especially when you become older, they're even more beneficial. So the sauna is actually one area that I wish that I would have incorporated into my routine sooner, because once I started using the sauna, I started feeling so much more relaxed. I was able to get deeper sleep, and I also felt like I was putting on muscle in the gym a lot faster. So that's why I always recommend you guys to also do the sauna. And once you start doing it, comment below and let me know if you notice a difference. Another benefit or perk of the sauna for you older guys out there is that it also increases testosterone naturally. And we need testosterone to help build muscle as well. It's a very important hormone. It's a very important anabolic hormone. And it also increases the secretion of growth hormone, which we kind of talked about earlier, about how that's released during sleep as well. So the more of that you have, the better. All right, so if you've stuck around this far, I know that you're actually serious and that you're going to really get dialed in for this winter arc. Before you do, I want you to know this last step in this guide that's really going to be the game changer. I want you to remember that in the end, what's going to matter is consistency. Putting in the reps, not making excuses, no matter how badly you don't want to go to the gym, no matter how badly you want to cheat on your diet and eat that pizza, stay locked in. Because I can tell you that me getting in shape and being consistent and getting serious with my fitness routine completely turned my life around. It improved my health, it improved my finances, it improved my dating life, it improved so many different facets of my life. And I made videos on my channel that detail all the things that have changed my life after I got in shape. You can always check those out. And check out some of my other videos that kind of give you more insights on how to build an aesthetic physique. And I know how much of a difference it can make. And that's why I'm so passionate about helping you guys and helping as many men as I can to also go on this fitness and self-improvement journey, because it will completely change your life for the better. So if you've enjoyed this content, if you found value in this content, then join my brotherhood of men that are working on becoming the best version of themselves, and subscribe. And please like, please comment, please hype up this video. It really helps me out as a new channel, and I really appreciate every single one of you guys for watching. Thanks again. This is Solstice, signing out.